demon Pazuzu. Between 1918 and 1919, a series of brutal murders terrorized the city of New Orleans. The killer would break into the homes of his victims and attack them with an axe, leaving a gruesome scene in his wake. This man is popularly known as the Axeman of New Orleans. According to some accounts, he was a devoted follower of Pazuzu, carrying out brutal murders as a form of ritual sacrifice in order to gain the demon's favor and protection. Though this theory sounded absurd, some people believe that.
What the hell is that?
You're still too weak. You just don't have enough hate.
I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to make a video explaining why you don't go exploring on your own. This man was exploring an abandoned building when he saw something that was just not okay. That would be the day that I would run with the might of an Olympic gold.
I think this guy may have caught a home intruder on camera. He's been hearing noises the past few days and set up a camera to see what was going on. I don't think he expected this man to be in his kitchen. And it gets worse. You can see him creepily moving around in the shadows once you turn up the brightness. Scariest thing for me is the fact he's looking directly at the camera, it seems like. And in the second clip, how is he moving so fast? How did he get in? What is he doing there? A lot of people in the original YouTube video were saying that this is some kind of paranormal figure they believe. They're basing that off of the speed he was moving in the dark in the second clip. This might just be a home intruder or somebody under the influence of something. Either way, nobody's winning and this is terrifying. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below and follow for more scary videos.
They went to explore in an abandoned mine when they find this. YouTube channel Connor Kelly uncovered a horrifying secret hidden deep within an abandoned mine. As the group arrives at the McCoy mine in Nevada, they find a small entrance hidden between the hills. And when the group descends deep within the cave, everything seems to be normal at first. But it wasn't until Connor sees the reflection of something hiding in the dark that he would realize the mine's dark secret.
How old would you say these shoes are, Dad?
They find a pile of children's shoes and bones stored on the corner of the cave.
It is giving me great pain.
Horrifying enough, more skeletal remains can be found laying around the area. Connor contacted the police and he explains that they didn't really seem too interested in the case. So did Connor really find a potential murder hideout?
Alright guys, take a look at this video. This lady was home alone and she saw something crawling up her stairs. As soon as she went down to try to capture more of it, it disappears.
Augusto sí me acompañó hoy, pero ya estoy sola. Todavía se escucha un ruido de abajo. Y la verdad que no sé. Ay, la concha, con olor a árbol. Sora. Sora, subí. Ay, no, Dios santo. Nera.
I zoomed in, but the fact that these hands came out of nowhere and then disappeared so quickly is so scary. And those long, pale fingers? Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below and follow for more scary videos.
Sometimes when you find something spooky, it's not always what you think it's going to be. A man was exploring a hospital that had been abandoned for a long time when he saw something that was extremely unexpected. Something paranormal may not always be the worst thing that you can find.
If your dog starts acting like this, it may be warning you of an evil presence. A man named Rob from Metaphysical explains that one day while out in the woods, he came across a man working at a horse stable, curious to see if anything paranormal has ever happened in this eerie area of the woods. He asks the man if he's seen anything he can't explain. The man explains he recorded a disturbing video onto his private Facebook page. Where he's with his dog near the area, you can see what looks like a translucent figure of a woman walking by.
How much would it terrify you if you're home alone and all of a sudden you see an evil entity harassing you? This is what happened to this man. Watch all the way to the very end to see it knocking on his door to let him in. Pay close attention.
The evil wouldn't be tormenting you so mercilessly if there wasn't something esteemed inside you. For malice seeks not hollow spirits. Hear that again.
Recently, a man who lives in Brazil, in the countryside, out there in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, found strange creatures inside one of his closet doors. They seem to be hiding there. No one knows what these things are, and when he opens the closet door...
E a coragem de abrir isso aí pra filmar. Ó, tremendo, velho. Tô sozinho em casa aqui, gente. Escutei um barulho aqui no fundo aqui quando eu vi isso aqui, lá debaixo do tanque aqui de lavar roupa. Eu peguei e fechei logo, botei aqui pelo menos essa vassoura aqui pra segurar a porta pra não abrir. E eu tô com medo, galera, ó, só os olhinhos dele brilham lá. Mas eu vou abrir aqui pra me filmar, porque eu tenho que filmar isso aqui, galera. Porque senão, quero que acreditar em mim. Nem minha mãe ia acreditar em mim se eu falasse, entendeu? É algo totalmente estranho, uns bichos sem pelo, todo amarelo, gosmento. Muito estranho, galera, muito estranho mesmo. Vou mostrar pra vocês e eu quero que vocês tirem suas próprias conclusões, tá, gente? E me fala aí se alguém sabe o que é, se vocês já viram, se vocês sabem o nome disso. Porque não é normal, não é nada do que eu conheço, tá, gente? Porque até que eu pensei que poderia ser um gambá, mas não é não, quer ver, ó? Viu, ó, presta atenção, lá no fundo, mas tem o pequenininho que tá chorando, tá aqui atrás da porta aqui, ó. Olha aí, ó.
Bestie, have you ever heard of the game It Follows?
The horrifying game that allows you to call upon an entity that if you win, you will gain control of this entity and it will become your friend. To play the game, you'll need total darkness, a mirror, and a cell phone. Stand in front of the mirror and repeat the words. Mirror, mirror, open wide, let the devil come inside. He will come. The devil behind will show up behind you, and it will follow you everywhere you go. To win the game, all you need to do is look back and snap a picture of it as soon as you know it's behind. Once it knows that you captured it on photo, it will be scared that you're going to reveal it to the world, so it will become your friend forever. You can make it do any deed you wish. Just remember that it won't make it that easy for you to catch it. You have 7 days to catch it.
The devil wouldn't be attacking you so hard if there wasn't something valuable inside of it. Remember, thieves don't break into empty homes. Hear that again.
The next day he told me he had a new game to play. My new friend Mr. Widemouth told me he was going to teach me how to juggle. He handed me a small box and said,
"Here, practice with these."
I looked in the box and saw it was full of knives. I looked in the box and saw it was full of knives. Shocked and appalled that Mr. Widemouth would bring something that could get me in so much trouble into my room, I told him no way and I'd be grounded if I did such nonsense. Mr. Widemouth was furious. He grabbed the box of knives and slid under my bed. I wondered how often he was under there. The next few days, he'd wake me up in the middle of the night and entice me to jump out of the window again.
There's a real trampoline down there now. It's just invisible.
However, even in my naive youth, I was already getting suspicious of Mr. Widemouth's intentions. He wasn't so fun to play with anymore. One morning, my mother finally gave me permission to go outside and get some fresh air. I was enthralled. I rushed to the backyard when Mr. Widemouth popped out from behind a tree.
I want to show you something. Follow me.
He saw my hesitation and said,
It's safe. I promise.
I followed him down a deer trail leading into the woods behind my house. He pointed off into the distance and said,
This is an important path. I've had a lot of friends about your age, and when they were ready, I took them down this path to a special place. You aren't ready yet, but one day I hope to take you here.
Days later, the house was packed up, and I was in a moving van sitting in between my mom and dad. I had never told Mr. Widemouth I was leaving. Call it instincts or just luck. But deep down, I didn't trust the little creature. As the truck fired up, I glanced one last time at the window where my room once was, and I saw Mr. Widemouth smiling and waving with one hand, while brandishing a steak knife in the other. As I grew older, I wasn't sure if the whole thing was some illness-induced hallucination, or if it was real, but one thing always haunted me. Just what was at the end of that path he mentioned. Just recently, I went back to my childhood neighborhood. The house I had lived in was gone, reduced to ashes from a fire that happened just years later. I walked through the remains down the deer path through the woods to where the path ended at the back gate of the local cemetery. I looked at the gravestones and realized that many of them belonged to young children who were just about my age at the time. Now, what do you guys think? Is this a legend or a lie?
The Lady in White of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery in Chicago, Illinois, is believed to be the mother of an infant whose gravestone sits next to an unmarked grave. Not much is known about the background of the tombs, except that the ghostly apparition of the woman is often spotted wandering near them. For that reason alone, people believe this to be her child, and the unmarked stone to be hers.
Neighbors last heard this woman arguing with a man, and now she's been missing for 2 weeks. 21-year-old Madeline Pantoja had just been dropped off after having dinner with a friend when neighbors heard her having a screaming argument. This was at 1 a.m. and not just on her floor, but outside as well. And then surveillance cameras caught a pickup truck speeding away from the parking lot. The man Madeline was arguing with has not been identified by the police. She didn't actively have a boyfriend at the time of her disappearance, but I think based on the arguing, she at least knew him a little bit. And her family believes that her ex-boyfriend is the prime suspect. Her friend dropped her off at 11 p.m. on May 10th, 2023, and this argument happened at 1 a.m., so just a few hours later. She was reported missing after failing to respond to calls and texts, and her family called the police, who had to break down her door. Inside, they found her phone, purse, keys, and dog. And in the parking lot was her car. There's a GoFundMe set up by her older brother Christian and a $20,000 reward. There were also protests outside the Midland Police Department due to their lack of action. Frustratingly, I saw one news report where they said they didn't believe foul play was involved, but women in their 20s, do you go anywhere without your purse, keys, and phone? And then also, why would she leave her dog? Spreading information is the most important thing you can do in a missing persons case, and thank you to this person who made me aware. Madeline was last seen at 1711 West Francis Avenue in Midland, Texas. She's 5'4", weighs...
Creepy Urban Legends Part 10. The Pulp Lick Monster in Louisville, Kentucky, has been the cause of dozens of unalivings since the legend began in the early 1900s. A farmer was struggling to keep his crops alive on the land where the monster now resides. He tried everything, but nothing seemed to help. Until one day, he decided to reach out to the devil in hopes they could make a deal. He asked the farmer for all his goats as a form of sacrifice, and in return his crops would grow without any problems. The farmer agreed, and that very night he made the sacrifice in the location they had agreed. In the following days, he watched as his crops, that were once dried and brittle, began to transform, becoming vibrant and full of life. But the farmer didn't expect what was next, as he himself began to transform. His head began to grow horns, his ears enlarged, and he grew fur all over his body. As the days passed, he slowly became the beast, now known as the Pope-like monster. His appetite also grew. People claim he feeds on the fear of others and controls their minds, using his powers to lure explorers to the live train tracks, where many have met their demise.
Scary TikTok videos part 66.
Did you ever shiver for no reason? Let's find out why. They say when you shiver for no reason, or feel someone walk ahead or behind you, it means that a spirit is passing by you or even passing through you.
Curtain number 1 is correct.
This small Santa Claus was also Toronto's scariest serial killer. 67-year-old Bruce McArthur murdered 8 men in downtown Toronto from 2010 to 2018. He was previously married with a woman and had 2 children with her, but little did they know about his double life. Many people who knew Bruce described him as sweet and outgoing, and they never imagined he would do something like this. In 2010, gay men in Toronto began going missing, and unfortunately, after some time, their cases stopped getting so much attention. Bruce first met these men on dating apps, and when he met them in person, he took their lives. He targeted marginalized men, which in this case were gay men of color. He strangled them and then dismembered their bodies and then put their body parts in planters. Bruce even took photos of his victims when they were alive and then deceased. This is one of his victims who got away after almost being murdered by Bruce. In 2018, police began discovering dismembered body parts of some of the 8 missing men on the property of one of Bruce's clients who hired him as a landscaper. And finally, in 2019, Bruce pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison.
This thing of nightmares is known as the Knuckle of V. And of all the entities from the lore of the Celtic lands, the Knuckle of V is said to be the most evil and destructive. It's said that during the summer months, the Knuckle of V is forced to dwell deep within the ocean depths by the Mither, or Mother of the Sea. But in the winter, when her power wanes, the Knuckle of V comes out from the sea and walks the beaches and land around the Orkney Isles, where tales of this horrific beast are common. It's said the Knuckle of V takes the appearance of a massive skinless horse with one glowing red eye, and on its back is attached the torso of a skinless man, as if he were riding the hellish steed. The skinless man's arms are so long they nearly drag the ground, and his head is abnormally large, so large that it just rolls around on his neck as if he doesn't have the strength to control it. It's said that noxious fumes spew forth from the mouth of the horse that cause crops and livestock to die. But fear not, as there are ways to protect yourself from the Knuckle of V. Even though the Knuckle of V dwells in the sea, it's said to abhor fresh water, so you're always safe on a rainy day. But if by chance you're being chased by the Knuckle of V, you could always cross a stream, dive into a lake, or give the Knuckle of V a good splash. It's also said that ash from burnt seaweed will deter the Knuckle of V. But be warned, it's believed the burning of seaweed sets the Knuckle of V into a ferocious rage, and it may just unleash its rage on your crops or your livestock, or even bring a plague to the people of your village. Some believe the Knuckle of V was heavily influenced by the folklore of the Scandinavians who settled in the region, combining horse entities from their folklore like Helhest, the steed of Hel, Odin's famous horse, and any of the many Celtic horse-like entities like the Kelpie. But regardless of its origins, the Knuckle of V is truly terrifying.